All right, welcome back to Fleckus Talks the Podcast, episode 263. Today on the show, according to our new FBI directors, Epstein did kill himself. News to us, we'll go over that. Then, Joe Biden is very sick. How long did he know he was sick? We're going to speculate. Then in Cringe of the Week, we have a trans Muslim disabled Shrek type, followed by an adult injuries section that will help you guys avoid disaster. And last but not least, in Urban Decay, we have some post-tornado looting in St. Louis that's going to make you not happy. All this and more, it's Fleckus Talks the Podcast, episode 263, ranked the best news podcast of all time.
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words. But at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Very cool.
It's Fleckus Talks the Podcast featuring Richard Grabboy.
All right, one for one on the intro as always. Guys, let's talk Undertack, the world's best boxer briefs designed for special forces operators in Africa's harshest terrain. Undertack isn't just underwear, it's tactical gear built for tough missions, from worldwide rucking to crushing your day-to-day routines. These boxer briefs are made with premium modal fabric, which is 50% better at moisture wicking than cotton, keeping you cool, dry, and locked in. The hidden escape and evasion pocket discreetly stores critical items like a micro SD card with crypto data or emergency cash for when stakes are high. Pair them with the American-made merino socks or Urban Ops hoodie, built tough, keeping you comfy, mission ready, whether at the range, in the field, or relaxing on your couch. And for a limited time, Undertack is giving you a free pair with your next purchase. Go to undertack.com, that's undertac.com, and use code FLECKUS at checkout. So for every 3 pairs of underwear you buy, you're going to get one free. And as you know, your purchase supports veteran-run groups that combat human trafficking. So gear up with purchase, support American heroes, and secure your junk and complete the mission. When you need gear that doesn't quit, Undertack has your 6. Make sure you use code FLECKUS at checkout for the buy 3, get 1 free. And act on it now because it's not going to last long. Undertack.com is the website. Thank you to Undertack for sponsoring. Let's get into housekeeping. All right, thank you to Undertack for sponsoring.
Thank you, Undertack.
I'm wearing Undertack right now, and it feels great, and I wear it all the time. I wear them every day, over and over.
Yeah, okay.
They get real stinky. No, they don't. Okay, we have a lot to get to. Episode 263.
Yeah, that's a nice number.
263. That could be a goal weight for some people on the show.
Or it could be a nightmare weight. Could be something that you'd have to gain 30 for.
It could be a weight that you'd hope to get to, or a weight that you'd get to if you let it all go.
Yeah.
Depends which seat.
Depends who you are.
Depends which
Which half of the podcast are you?
No speculating, no guessing. All right, let's get right into it. We have a lot to get to. We have a packed show.
Okay.
And as you guys know, everything's heating up right now. Everything's happening, and it's all written here.
Is it heating up?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
This heating up?
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going on.
A lot of immigration stuff, a lot of court battles.
A lot of Urban Decay.
But then you could also argue that a lot is not happening. Promises made, promises delayed, you know?
Well, we're going to get to it.
Okay.
You guys let us know. Okay. All right, the story of the day, kind of, in my opinion, the new FBI director, Kash Patel, and the other guy, Dan Bongino, they're now saying Epstein did kill himself. Look at this clip from Fox News.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
So, you know, the cameras were all turned off, the guard fell asleep, and then that's when he took the opportunity to kill himself.
Yeah, the cameras. That was a big one.
That was a big, weird one. And, you know, it makes you wonder. Dan Bongino says he looked at the file, and you're also, like, potentially...
Who wrote the file? You know, there's, like, a bunch of pieces when it's a conspiracy to this level that you have to, like, I took somebody's word for it, right?
And you're, like, exposing intelligence agencies, foreign intelligence agencies, that operate in blackmail. So you open the Epstein file and you're Dan Bongino and you see a video of yourself like exiting a rub and tug. And you go, yeah, it looks like
It closes the file really quick. Whoa, geez.
looks like a suicide to me.
Yeah, somebody's sitting across the table
And
from
he just
you.
goes, yeah, it looks like he killed himself.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that's what happened.
I know.
But when you are trying to expose the blackmailers, they don't just go, all right, you got me.
And
Here's
look-
the Epstein files.
And look, we don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see anything extra that nobody else has seen. It's just something doesn't smell right.
Yeah.
And, I trust Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Do I trust what they're being shown and what was handed to them across the table? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of I assume Kash Patel and Dan Bongino they were our guys, Dan Bongino came off the bench from a podcast.
Yeah.
Kash Patel's been a good henchman for a long time. So, they know they don't want to go on TV and say it on Fox News. Yeah, we checked it. I think they have that little piece in them, and they say it anyway. But my point is, we trusted them before. They come in, they see something. What do they see? How tainted is that? You know what I mean?
How tainted is that? Yeah. Do you open the file and see a picture of yourself sleeping in your bed?
Yeah, with a red dot on your forehead, and it's not because you're Indian.
They go, it looks like a suicide. Yeah. Or what do you want me to say?
A guy who comes up to you, it's night vision goggles, a guy who comes up and touches you in bed and you don't even wake up.
Yeah, it's you and your wife in bed and there's a photo. And it's like, here's the file.
Is that really what the world is,
I heard a story about that.
Really?
That's how they operated, where they got a picture of themselves in bed.
Ugh.
Pretty scary. That's why I said it.
All right,
let's get to our next story. This is an uplifting story and something I can get behind. DHS is reportedly interested in potentially starting a reality show where illegals can Hunger Games style compete for citizenship.
Yeah, DHS is reviewing a proposal for a reality TV show in which immigrants compete in various challenges for a chance to fast track their citizenship. The show, titled The American, was pitched by producer Rob Warsoff, known for his work on Duck Dynasty.
I would watch that, and I think a lot of Americans would watch it too, and I think it could be a #1 show.
It would be the only thing people watch. Everyone would tune in. Whatever network aired that, it would go crazy.
And the nice part is, at the end of the season, it's like, all right, 50 people get in. It's not like it's going to be millions and thousands or whatever. It's just, 50 people, some nice families or whatever. It's 50 people type thing.
I don't even think so. I think it would be like 2. Because the way a reality show works, you know what I mean? It's like American Idol.
Yeah.
You only remember Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard, right?
That's a good point.
You can't, nobody has the brain space in a reality show to make space for 50 people. So it would be even less. I'm for this. Apparently this guy has been trying to do it since the Obama administration. He's been pitching it to various DHS people.
Now is the right time to pitch it to these people. Obama, they're like,
He's dusting off the file. He's like, time to pitch again.
Yeah, Trump hears it and goes,
The question is, what would it be? Would it be like an Amazing Race type thing where 2 illegal immigrants team up and they have to go through America and kind of complete tasks? What would some of those tasks look like?
I don't know. I kind of wrote a couple ideas, but these were pretty half-assed, and I wrote them 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
But, pronounce Walmart without calling it Gualmar.
Okay, yeah.
Pick a suit that doesn't look like a waiter or valet outfit. Also, pick an appropriate beach outfit that doesn't mean you can go in the ocean in your jeans and a button-down shirt like some other people do.
Okay.
And then don't add that stupid spicy shit to fruit.
Yeah.
I kind of veered off and just started saying what my personal issues were with the migrants.
Yeah, imagine episode 1 is, okay, how many people here know how to get EBT? And then they raise their hand and they're like, you guys can go. Yeah. You're not the American. I'm sorry.
You're not the American.
Yeah. They send them to the beach and see who plays something on their boombox, who plays Latin music. Yeah. I think that could be really good if there was a Chinese guy. You guys saw who crossed the border under Biden. Haitians, Mexicans, Guatemalans, Indians, Chinese nationals were crossing the border. I think if it's multiracial, it becomes even better, too.
Yeah. And then maybe they fight. I don't know. Wrestle.
I'm not sure, but we'll see. I hope this comes to fruition.
Me too. And all right, speaking of Mexicans, there was a Mexican boat crash over the weekend, as I'm sure you guys saw. Here's the clip. It's like a Mexican military celebration ship.
Yeah, it's Mexican military, but it seems like they're just doing showing off. There's a bunch of people up here.
And here they go. And
there's people on the masts.
Yeah.
And they run into the Brooklyn Bridge, right?
And they crash into the Brooklyn Bridge. And that's sad, and that was pretty devastating. And initially, I was thinking the boat must have been driven by a minority or a woman who couldn't eyeball the height of the ship versus the height of the bridge.
Yeah.
And that ended up being pretty much accurate.
Why?
It was a Mexican, and there was a lady involved.
Okay.
I saw a picture of the two, and like it was a captain, which was a Mexican guy, and then a lady. So unfortunately, I was correct, and it ended exactly how I thought.
And that was serious. I think a couple of people died, 19 people like seriously injured.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you know, the internet went crazy like, oh my God, another bridge thing. It's like people are dying, falling off there.
Very sad. God bless those people.
Yeah.
And we have another angle of it here. Look what you see here.
This is America these days. Fat Muslim hijab-wearing women running from the Mexican naval crash.
That crashes into the Brooklyn Bridge.
Doesn't that kind of sound made up? Is that something you could have told Benjamin Franklin would happen?
Tell your grandparents.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Very sad time, and that's a sign of the times, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next story, another main story of the day. Joe Biden has stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Very sad stuff.
Prostate cancer.
Yeah, can you give that a read?
Yeah, well, this first one says prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts and to watch it progress to bone metastases. The PSA blood test shows the rate of cancer cell growth. For even with the most aggressive form, it is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic. Metastatic? I don't even know how to pronounce that because it's metastases and then there's metastatic. All right, meaning it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May 2025. I can't do this one. It's highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed.
Yep, and then there was an expert, a urologist expert, who went on Fox News and said with this type of diagnosis, Biden probably knew he had this cancer for 5 to 10 years, which is crazy.
And that's what a lot of people are telling us and doctors anecdotally is this one shows up in your blood test. And like if you're a president, you get yearly blood work at minimum, right?
Exactly. And can you give that tweet a read too? That kind of summed it up as well.
In 2024, then President Biden's physician claimed he was healthy, active, robust, 81-year-old male who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency. 1 year later, Biden is diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer with metastasis. This is a scandal.
So they're sunsetting the final Biden bot. As most of you guys know, Joe Biden originally died in the late 90s. We've been getting different iterations with these Biden bots, and now they're sunsetting the final Joe Biden.
CIA scrapping the program?
Yeah, it's done.
All right.
How long can you run it?
I mean, it's a bit, but, you know, the guy's got cancer. He's going to die. But they are hiding, and they did, it seemed, hide something from us.
And it is a little insensitive, and I go back and forth. Like, politicians on either side will say, oh, this is so sad, praying for his recovery.
Yeah.
And I get it.
I get it,
That's
too.
what you tweet.
That's what you do.
But also, people who do treason, I don't really feel bad for people who do treason. I don't have sympathy for people who do treason. So I go back and forth. There was a little bit of a Biden gaffe from 2022 where he said he had cancer, and then his people were all like, oh, that was just a gaffe. He didn't mean that. I think it was kind of alluding to this.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why cancer?
You kind of just said it.
Yeah, and it was a good guy to accidentally say it, too, because you could easily launder it through. It was one of his many flubs. The guy is not fully there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so sad story there. Wish everyone the best.
I wish everyone the best. Were some of his staffers lying to us? Were doctors lying to us? They were really trying to get him through the finish line again. And
they were going to get us to the finish line and then just dump Kamala on us.
And then
get him in and say, oh, he's got late cancer. He's stepping down. Kamala Harris, first black woman president. And that's what they were trying to do.
Also, when you're talking about, I don't really feel bad for people who did treason, this is another thing. Like, was Joe Biden doing treason? Or were just people of his staff doing treason? Mayorkas, you know, those types, staffers who were running it? Because clearly Joe Biden was not really running it.
Yeah.
He was a face. He was a figurehead. He was an electable smile with aviators back then. Barely. Stole it.
And they were just pretending to be all that.
I know.
So yeah, you're right. Maybe he was such a old, stupid guy that you almost have to feel bad for him.
Yeah, that's the point I'm at now. But then again, until we've deported all the people he brought in, I'm not feeling ultra sympathetic.
And then him and Obama spied on Trump.
Yes.
So that's treason too, before the cancer, maybe.
Okay.
All right, next, Zalinsky has rules. His team has rules for photographying him. Can you give that a read?
Yeah, basically, there's this little handout that they're handing to people for this press tour where Zalinsky's at, and it has a couple bullet points. One, permissible angles. The primary shooting angle should be at eye level or slightly above, waist up or higher. Don't show his little feet and his lifts.
Don't show his 26-inch pants.
Prohibited angles and situations. Shooting from a low angle, emphasizing short stature. Wide-angle distortions, making his body proportions appear unnatural. Comparative shots. Photographing the politician next to taller people without prior approval is not allowed. So if you're over 6 foot, you got to get like a note to get next to Zalinsky. Composition requirements. Do not draw attention to shoes or other details that may highlight height. For group photos, the politician's positioning must be approved in advance. Shots that could be used for memes or derogatory publications are not permitted.
So he's like an influencer.
Yeah.
This is like what an influencer would say in their photo shoot.
I know. And an influencer wouldn't even do it. That would be the end of them. That would be the end of their career. They'd get humiliated online.
That's pretty good, though, that they got him. They're looking out for him like that. All right, let's get right to our migrant section. We have a migrant section, and we're going to pair it with afterwards like a anti-white global citizen agenda, which I think is kind of goes hand in hand. Okay. But we're going to start with our migrants. First, we have a Vegas DUI crash.
Yeah, this is hitting on the theme of who's on the road. And this might not even be a migrant, guys. He looks like a Mexican laborer.
I made the call to put him in, and I think it is a migrant based on how he reacts after the crash happens.
Maybe a witness this guy rear-ended.
So he got rear-ended.
Oh, no. I have to go.
No, he's fucked up, dude. I don't have full coverage, dude. It is what it is. Look. Yeah, dude. Let's get out of here. He's fucked up, Johnny. We don't want to be in the middle of the road. I gotta get. Johnny, it's not safe. Get his information. It's not safe out here, dog.
Get his information.
I gotta verify that he doesn't have insurance.
His own car, dog.
Can't even stand up. I gotta get his information. He does have any information.
So his car rolls out, and then he goes the other way.
His car goes that way, and he goes that way. That's who's on the road with us. No insurance.
Suspected illegal immigrant. I'll be like Tariq Nasheed on this one.
Yeah.
Suspected illegal immigrant. DUI crash in Vegas. And is that Vegas? Is that an illegal? Which outweighs which? You know, were those Modelo's at the construction site or were those Modelo's in the casino?
I think Modelo's at the construction site.
I think so too, with the orange.
Based on his outfit.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next story. There was some fraud going on, allegedly, with like a NGO nonprofit thing that they converted a veteran affairs building into an illegal migrant shelter.
Yeah, this was in Massachusetts.
So I went to this veterans shelter where they converted a large part of it into a migrant shelter, and what I found out ended up with the police getting called on me. So I knocked on the door, and this guy with a Lalativa shirt came out, and he told me that I had to wait, and another person came out and said this.
We can't talk about what's going on.
There's something so creepy about how she said we can't talk about what's going on. When you say you can't answer any questions, were you instructed to not answer any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Enjoy my money. Do you drive migrants to this shelter often?
I can't answer no questions like this.
So since nobody would answer me at the shelter, I went straight to the headquarters and the craziest thing happened. The CEO just happened to be doing an interview. So I confronted her about running shelters that are costing taxpayers in Massachusetts $1 billion a year.
When it comes to immigration and the shelter, I'm not allowed to speak to it because the governor has their own media person.
So I gotta talk to the governor about the migrant shelters that she's running. So how do you feel after 36 years that they don't let you talk about something? You've been there for 36 years and they're not letting you talk.
They basically part of the conversation is part of what we've been told is that they have a communication and that we are there to serve. we were not hired to talk to the media.
Maybe the reason she's being so cagey is that she gets paid over $225,000 a year to run this migrant shelter nonprofit, while her company gets $9 million in government grants to supposedly help people. And that's just in 1 year. Now, maybe the reason no one has called her out on this is because she has 2 relatives and an employee on the city council. And the president of the board for Lalativa also just happens to be a detective at the Chelsea Police Department.
So it goes pretty deep.
Yeah. And the one thing...
$1 billion a year in Massachusetts, a small state.
I know. And then so obviously there are the big red flags like the taking up space in a place that's meant for Americans, veterans, to people who just got here. And then there's the taking government money, the USAID type funding. But this whole thing where everybody, every single person from henchman, bus driver to the doorman to the CEO, every single person says and is trained to not tell anybody about what exactly they're doing there is kind of a very strange thing on American soil, right?
It's a very strange thing. And then they're also like all related or like friends or family or employees. So you kind of like, you can really see the racket in live time where it's like, well, you're in charge of it. These people are related to you. This guy's related to them.
You hired your cousin. She gets a great salary. You don't really do anything.
And it's like, of course, everyone's not going to talk.
Yeah.
Like
you're all making 6 figures. You're lunch ladies. You should be lunch ladies. So, but yeah, the whole not talking, uncomfortable with filming thing, it's very weird to me. And I don't know when this was filmed. I think it's pretty recent. But it goes to show you what kind of state, and that's more state, but probably getting federal money. A lot of this shit is still going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we need Stephen Miller. Stephen, if you hear us, we need this shut down completely, right?
Please, Stephen Miller. Yeah. And then Medic Sisyphus had some good points about this, too, when it comes to the legal immigrants that come to America and, like, the resources they use and also the education level they have. Can you give that a read, please?
Yeah, he said 2/3 of legal immigrants to the U.S. have less than a college degree, and they consume more welfare than native-born citizens.
And those are the legal immigrants.
Yeah.
Not the people coming from Botswana or the people coming from, Somalia across the border.
Yeah, naturalized immigrants consume 17% more welfare than native-born Americans because they are an older population. They consume 7 times as much Social Security and 4.3 times as much Medicare as non-citizens on a per capita basis.
Crazy.
That's a lot. And then again, oh, you know what? We're such a rich, wealthy nation. We can help. We can afford to. We're in so much. We have like $37 trillion of debt right now. We're in the middle of a crisis, extending our hand out to these people who are not college educated and immediately taking benefits, right?
Yep. And then we have our next clip or next tweet here from Stephen Miller. Can you read that?
Yeah, they went to the UAE for that Trump Middle Eastern tour recently, and they were hanging out at this palace, someone's palace. I don't know what those are. They don't have those in America. I don't have palaces. But Stephen Miller says, this exquisite palace cost less to construct than Democrats spent housing illegal migrants at the Roosevelt Hotel. Less than the funds given to a single left-wing NGO to resettle refugees, less than the cost of DEI contracts in a single government agency.
Crazy.
So yeah, you got to be reminded that we could have stuff. We could, and whatever your pet project is that's not babysitting third worlders, whether you want to see a manned mission to Mars or you want to see a cool bridge on a piece of America that you think needs a bridge. There are real tangible things we could have that we're wasting on yearly expenses. Babysitting third worlders, made up victim lessons to teach a government wing about DEI. So I think, and I'm on the point where we shouldn't even be spending that money. We have too much debt. But the fact that you could have tangible, cool things instead of babysitting the third world is crazy.
Yeah, it's all an agenda. It's all done on purpose. The years of thinking like, oh, this is incompetence, long past that.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump up to Canada real quick.
Not Canada.
Not Canada. Let's jump up to
England,
the UK. This guy was caught filming kids at the park, and he has an excuse.
Tippingham Park, we've got a paedophile taking photos of children. Stop lying. You're not allowed to do this. It's just his phone. On this phone here, he has no kids. He has no kids. Take a video of children. This is him here.
I am new. I am sorry.
The fuck, you're new.
I am sorry.
He's new.
Cut him some slack. Everybody gets one. As soon as you get to the UK, everybody gets to film children at a playground once.
Yeah, so he's new. And then the bad part is, if he got in trouble for this and he went to a judge in the UK and said, I'm new, they'd probably cut him some slack.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. Scary.
Everybody knows I'm new is an excuse, but the judge will take that into consideration for his sentencing.
Yeah, mate. We drive on the left side of the road here, beans and toast for breakfast, and try not to film kids for sexual reasons at the park.
Yeah.
He's new.
That's on the pamphlet now. I didn't think we needed to even mention that stuff. And that shows the caliber of people. That's an old man, too. This isn't like a 17-year-old who just is 2 years into puberty and doesn't know how to handle hormones. That's like a creep through and through who should definitely know better. And I'm new is not an excuse for a 70-year-old man or 60, whatever he is, right? But yeah, that's the caliber of people you're bringing in. And then as we shown in America, you know, the tax dollars or the shelters or all the money and everyone who's collecting a salary to bring someone like this in. And then that's the type of end result you get, filming kids at a park with no kids.
You have to go above and beyond, spend all the money, destroy the culture and traditions to bring these people in.
And you don't get a palace at the end of it. There's no palace.
And it's for what? What do we need this guy for? Yeah. And then it actually gets worse, as you guys can probably imagine. We have some stats about the Pakistani grooming rape gangs throughout Europe. Can you read some of that?
Yeah, this was a Twitter thread on a new Freedom of Information, basically, request from the UK police, which shows Pakistani and Asian men overrepresented by up to 2 to 4 times among child sexual abuse offense suspects in Bradford and West Yorkshire. And so we're going to go over some key points in this thread. Between January 1st, 2009 and December 31st, 2024, West Yorkshire police recorded 7,100 sexual grooming and child exploitation offenses across 5 districts: Bradford, Calderdale, Kirklees, Leeds, and Wakefield. Asian Pakistani suspects were 21% of all suspects, with a rate of 507.7 suspects per 100,000 people. Asian Bangladeshis had a lower rate at 0.89%. Other Arab, Middle Eastern, Latin American suspects were 0.96%, but had the highest per capita rate of the data set at 530 suspects per 100,000. So Pakistanis, very high on the per capita, and then other Arab and Middle Eastern people. This is despite those identifying as Asian or Asian British making up only 16% of the population across West Yorkshire's district and 10% of the overall population in England. And then, of course, like we know how these per capita stats are, 13% commit, 50%. We have our own in America. But if you exclude women and children from the overall percentages, it produces a much higher offending rate too.
And that's the key.
Well, let me keep going just a little bit because among victims, white British account for 55%, making up the largest ethnic group in absolute terms. Obviously, that's who is there. However, they are outnumbered on a per capita basis by Black, African, and other Black victims who comprised just 0.88%. But that's the key thing. Despite being the largest group among perpetrators, Asian Pakistanis comprised only 2.96% of victims at a per capita rate of 90 per 100,000 people.
So the victims are always, most of the time, the native people, the white UK British people.
Exactly what we saw that guy filming in the previous clip. So Pakistanis are one of the highest per capita offenders, but the Pakistanis as victims are one of the lower per capita. And so it's all Pakistanis doing this to the native UK population.
Very bad.
Which is, it's all what we thought, and that's what all the grooming gangs were. We've read some of the court cases about like the threats they used to do, the depraved stuff they did to some of these girls to keep them quiet. And it's like pulling teeth to get this data out. Like how it's something you've always known and you've heard about and they've covered up, and They call them Asian men, and then Asia's a giant continent with a ton of different nations.
Mhm.
And it's really just like Pakistanis grooming and attacking native UK girls.
Very sad.
So that's who you're letting in. That's who the NGO money goes to, right?
Yeah, that's who needs to be here. And then it actually parlays into our next section. We're going to talk about the anti-white future, which is the goal of the UN, believe it or not. We're going to start with some prompts that people did into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of wrap it all together in this whole segment. Can you read that prompt?
Yeah, he said, should black people have their own countries to ChatGPT? And he said, yes, in fact, they already do across Africa and in parts of the Caribbean. There are many countries where the majority populations are black and which were founded, governed, and shaped by black people. And it goes on to list a bunch of countries. And then the same guy asked, should white people be allowed to have their own countries? And ChatGPT said the idea of whether any racial or ethnic group should have their own countries is deeply tied to history, ethics, and political philosophy. And it's important to approach this topic with care, honesty, and clarity. Nations are usually not based on race. They're based on culture, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And then we have, and keep in mind too, I saw this tweet, 1910, the global population was a third white. Today it's 1/13 white.
Yeah. So we're being outbred by a lot.
We're being outbred. And then we're also in this process being told not to have pride in our traditions and our ethnicities and who we are. But every other group is being told to be extra prideful. So the Grock Prompt here, LGBT pride celebrates diverse identities, resilience, community, blah, 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 gay stuff. Jewish pride celebrates a rich heritage of resilience, culture, contributions to humanity, etc. Black pride celebrates African heritage, resilience, culture, contributions, etc. And then you get to white pride. Pride in any race, including white pride, often stems from a desire or identity or belonging, but can be divisive when emphasizing superiority or exclusion. Historically, it's been blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So everyone could be prideful except white people.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the nationalism definition, according to the ADL, Jewish nationalism, the state of Israel was established out of nationalist aspirations of the Jewish people and an international recognition of the rights of Jews to be the homeland. It's unrealistic and unacceptable to expect the state of Israel to voluntarily subvert its own sovereign existence and nationalist identity and become a vulnerable minority.
That rings true to me. Yeah.
Swap that with white.
Run it again.
And run it again, right? But then can you read the white nationalism?
White nationalism is a term that originated among white supremacists as a euphemism for white supremacy. Some white supremacists use it as a form of white supremacy that emphasizes defining a country or region by white racial identity, and which seeks to promote the interest of whites exclusively.
So you're not allowed to do it if you're white.
Yeah, that's the theme here, you know?
And then when it comes to how this happened and like the decline from a third of the world is white to a 13th, someone had a tweet that really summed it up. Can you give that a read?
He said, why invade a country when you can just buy its institutions, turn its women against its men, make transvestites of its children, sell the wealth generated by its labor to foreign investors, then introduce a foreign army as refugees and diversity to finish it off?
And I think we're about to get finished off.
We're in the later steps of that when you think about it. So it's time to wake up.
Yeah, you need to wake up. Mm-hmm. We need you.
Wake up.
And then
also just you ignore this shit. You know, when someone tries to make you like, oh, well, white pride, and certain people will tell you to your face why white pride is bad, but black pride is good. It's not just a chat GPT thing. This is like something a college professor would say. You just ignore that. You laugh in their face. You know what I mean? It's really, let it roll off you when someone tries to convince you of, oh, here's XYZ because of this and past historical injustices. And it's like, they're talking about past historical injustices to set up future injustices.
Yeah.
Where they steamroll you in the country your ancestors built, right?
You know what I think about past historical injustices?
Do I?
You know what I think about them?
What? They were good. Try to stop me. Yeah. Round 2.
And then it gets worse because, you know, this is AI.
Yeah.
It's some tweets. Yeah. Well, no big deal. You know, you're just picking pockets of the internet.
But that's pretty standard, right? Everyone can have pride except for white people.
Yeah.
Gay pride, they got a whole month for it coming up.
Yeah. And this is where it gets a little darker. The UN is actually also parroting some of these points. Believe it or not, it's obviously easy to believe. Can you read that first tweet and then the UN highlights?
Yeah, he said, this is Rams Paul. He said, fascinating paper from the UN website. The stated goal is to use the Holocaust as a weapon to demand multiculturalism and globalism. Again, this is not a conspiracy theory from a neo-Nazi website. This is from the UN. Let that sink in.
And here's the document, and you don't have to read the whole thing, but you can see the highlighted parts. You read into the highlighted parts and jump around a little bit.
Yeah, it's a discussion paper series, The Future of the Holocaust Edition, the role of global citizenship and human rights literacy. And basically, it's talking about global citizenship, which is a weird thing, you know? Like, yeah. That's everybody. So they want to make the word more than it means. I don't really have there's no global government to report to.
But then one world government is a goal if you think about conspiracies and New World Order shit.
And here's, I guess, a key piece. It says, the future of Holocaust memory and education lies in its ability to be relevant to the students of coming generations. While study about the Holocaust is important in and of itself, it is even more important to learn from the Holocaust in terms of promoting global citizenship, human rights, religious tolerance, and multiculturalism to ensure that such evil does not occur again.
So that was kind of a dense article, and I didn't fully understand what they meant by everything. But then we found a bunch of tweets that were replying to it, and they kind of summed up the agenda and the problem with it.
Oh, it's like, if you want to talk about the Holocaust, yeah, talk about it. But there's all these using it as a tool to do something else. There's a second order effect of the Holocaust.
Yeah, and a lot of people died in the Holocaust. But if you ask like a 15-year-old what happened in World War II, they would just say, oh, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews died. Yeah. Like, that's all that anyone learns. And then these tweets kind of tell you why.
Holocaust memorials are designed to elicit sympathy, which is used as a form of control. Why does America, whose troops rescued Jews from work camps, have more memorials for the Jews than the people that died to free them? The U.S. memorializes Jews more than all other Americans.
That's very true. And then this next tweet says, Holocaust education is irrelevant propaganda that wastes time of the children that should be spent on other subjects and is used only to inculcate.
We're having trouble today.
And soften up future generations for the tolerance of mass migration and degeneracy. It must be consigned to the dustbin of history.
Okay.
That's an opinion.
Yeah.
We're reading opinions here on the show. These aren't my tweets, but they're opinions and they're relevant. And then someone else said, everything you don't like happening to your country is justified by the Holocaust.
That's summing up the UN paper.
That sums up the UN paper. You know? And then
this is, I think, the more important one, right?
This is the main one.
Yeah, it says why you can't have a country explained. Having a country equals nationalism. Nationalism is like the Nazis. The Nazis did the Holocaust. The Holocaust, you can't question it, or Jews attack you and you lose your job and or go to jail.
That seems to be the cycle.
I think so, man. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're currently in the process of the multicultural society that is reflected in the UN paper there. So, and I don't like it so far. Again, do we need to go back to the guy filming children at the park and all the Pakistanis who are attacking native English people?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not liking it so far.
Yeah, so that basically sums it up. That's what we're dealing with. That's the agenda, zoomed out, 30,000-foot view. It's an anti-white agenda. You have to destroy the West, and you have to flood it with all these migrants.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But don't get too down or too depressed.
No, it's dark. I mean, you got to know what you're up against before you kind of come up with a plan against it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the defining battle. Everything else is secondary, culture, Christianity, whatever you want your country to look like is secondary to the ability to import hordes of people.
Yeah,
right?
and especially when you can't get them out.
Yeah.
Like the Supreme Court lets them come in, and then when you try to get them out, they go, we need due process for 50 million people.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court recently had some mixed kind of rulings for the Trump administration. One, for those Venezuelan gang members, they kicked that back to the circuit court that issued an injunction. They said that was their right to do it. And then another one, they ruled in Trump's favor that he could revoke the temporary protected status of a bunch of migrants who came in under Joe Biden, almost 500,000. So, I mean, what is this? A field trip and we need a permission slip signed by the Supreme Court to get people who shouldn't be here out of here?
Yeah.
I'm getting a little sick of this.
Me too. And the Supreme Court doesn't have a gun.
Yeah.
They don't have any weapons. we have to listen to them.
And Trump said he who saves his country breaks no law.
That's a good point.
I tend to believe that.
That rings true.
So, I don't know. Let's get him out, guys.
Let's get him out. All right. Don't get too down or too depressed. We're moving on to the final page of housekeeping. where I can say whatever I want. Make sure you guys use the opportunity to go to the post, help us juice the algo, leave a like, leave a comment again, then start yapping. P.O. Box needs to be full, notifications need to be on, old episodes need to be watched, and the link to this episode needs to be sent to the boys in the group chat.
Okay.
I got it all.
You did a full one.
All right, guys, we have a little bit of a Starbucks hack that you guys can capitalize on.
And I just know a Starbucks hates to see me coming because check this out. Jesus, they're so hard to get off for some reason. Yeah. Wait for it. Yeah.
Double drinks at Starbucks, and it's going to keep happening, I think, because all the workers there are non-binary and they hate Starbucks corporate, and all they want to do is talk about George Floyd.
Okay.
So they're not going to really stop this.
So they give you a side cup of ice, and then you just get your drink with no ice.
You get your drink with no ice, and you order a side cup, and then you get double Starbucks.
Okay.
There you go. If you guys are Starbucks drinkers, I'm sure a lot of you are. That's what you do, and then you can maybe do it, try it, and report back and tell me if it works.
Yeah, I thought this girl thinks she's being sneaky. Can I get one with no ice and a cup of ice? And she's like, it's like everybody fucking knows what you're doing, right?
But I don't think the workers care because they don't treat it like a local shop. It's
They're asleep
corporate.
at the wheel. They're thinking about unionizing and shit.
And they probably just go, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that girl was in MS-13. You see her MS-13 tattoos?
Yeah, she's going to Venezuela. She's going to El Salvador, bro.
Send her to El Salvador.
Neck tattoo on a girl.
Yeah.
Scamming Starbucks. Neck tattoo on a girl and scamming Starbucks. Oh, I didn't expect that.
Can't find a guy.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, let's
He
get
probably
to
has a guy with a neck tattoo.
Yeah, and a motorcycle. And that's fine. That's who pairs up.
That's fine.
Next, Diet Coke with lemon is unkosher.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for asking for a new soda, but see, the lemon makes my soda not kosher. So I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. So I was just given this nice drink here. Sitting with my friend Joey, we're planning the next.
We want to listen to the explanation?
Nah, we saw it already, which is unfortunate because Diet Coke with lemon is not kosher, which is unfortunate. And it's also kind of a crazy coincidence because the drink of summer is Diet Coke with lemon.
Damn.
So not everyone's going to. And then the sandwich of summer, as you guys know, is a BLT.
That's exclusionary, brother.
So not everyone's going to be able to partake. Last year, the drink was Arnold Palmer, but it's tough to do that in a healthy way. Not that Diet Coke's better, it's all chemicals. Yeah. But we can't eat sugar, Rapboy and I, in keto. So the drink of summer is Diet Coke with lemon. And if not everyone can participate,
so be it.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
All right, next. This is how a helicopter's blades actually work. Kind of stupid.
That's a lot. That's complicated.
That's a little stupid.
All the hydraulics, all the little pieces of metal that could go wrong or break.
And then one of those things fucks up, and then what happens? You're dead.
Yeah, I don't like helicopters.
Me neither. I like helicopters. I would do a little Cessna plane before I did a helicopter.
Okay.
Because you can
I agree
always,
with that.
if you're in a plane and the engine fails, you can kind of like glide your way down. You can't glide you can't glide that.
Wait, what was that? Do that again? That reminds me of something.
You can't glide that.
Yeah, you can't.
So it's like kind of a death trap machine and then go, whoa, this is how it works. And it's stupid. It's like a million moving parts and like a tube.
I don't want Trump in the helicopter either.
A tube that gets pinched?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, next, French dip pizza. Needed to show you guys this. Look at that. With the horseradish and the au jus.
Yeah. That's the type of shit that's the type of shit that got you into the keto diet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was the shit I was doing to start the day one of keto. And I'm actually in day 37 of keto right now, and it's going great. And we've been doing keto swaps for a lot of stuff. Rapboy the other day made chocolate chip cookies that were keto. But I don't think you can keto swap that.
Yeah, no such thing.
That's the problem. And I actually might try. I got some keto crusts, so maybe I'll try and report back to Bonus Land or something, or I'll try to make the French dip keto pizza and see what happens.
Yeah, it's just everything in keto, it's just a shittier pizza. So maybe just wait until you're out and then try the French dip pizza.
Yeah, pizza is one of the hard things to swap.
Yeah.
You can't really get that pizza. Okay. All right, next, this lady tries to save a possum.
unlike the overpass.
All right. Just leave it up there. He was happy up there. He likes it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You don't have to go touch that thing. It's disgusting. She thinks it's like cat adjacent. She goes, oh, it's like a little cat that needs help. And it's like, those things are nasty.
Yeah.
And they like it. Whatever they're doing, they like it.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about intervening on the city possum outside of LA.
He could fall from the overpass and get hit by a car. And it's like, that's what they do.
That's part of the life. That's part of the journey.
That's part of the journey.
I agree.
Is getting hit by a car and going. So those things are disgusting, and that lady's kind of retarded.
Okay.
No big deal. All right, next.
Final page of housekeeping. No big deal.
Did you guys know Russell Crowe is a singer? Yeah. You knew that?
Well, I saw this.
Okay, let it rip.
Did I say that I need you? Did I say that I want you? Oh, if I didn't, I'm a fool, you see. No one knows this more than me.
Very nice.
Yeah, nice job, Russell.
Russell Crowe, I didn't know you had that in you, and you know, you're a decent enough singer, and everyone knows you, so you can actually make a career out of it as well.
You know, I think when you're an accomplished enough man, everybody's allowed a couple side quests.
Yeah.
So Russell, have fun. Looks fun. You were Gladiator, brother.
Yeah.
So have fun with your singing career. You earned it.
You can do whatever you want now.
You and Ridley Scott? Get Ridley Scott on backing vocals. You know?
You could have started a frozen pizza company.
Could have done anything.
Could have done music, and you did. Good stuff.
Good for you.
All right, our last thing in our final page of housekeeping is a little surprise for you guys. What is that? Want to go for a walk? Want to go to the dog park? Squirrel. What is that? Who's at the door? Sorry, guys, that was a little terrorism. A little dog owner terrorism. If you guys have a dog, that may have made him freak out. And if you're watching at night, he's not going to go to bed right away.
Yep. Sorry.
So that's just how it goes.
All right. I see what you're up to.
That was fun.
Yeah, sure.
It was a little terrorism.
Sure.
Say the words the dog knows. Dog park. Walk.
Yeah. Who's a good boy?
Yeah. Squirrel. All right. That's the end of our housekeeping. We're now moving on to Cringe of the Week. All right. Our first clip of Cringe. This guy uses his lime green Lamborghini to make girls like him.
When I pick a girl up in my Lamborghini, which happens quite frequently, there are two reactions. The first reaction, and I don't like this reaction, is the down player. This is a girl who has either been in a lot of Lamborghinis before, so she just doesn't give a fuck, or she tries to act like it's not that important because she doesn't want to boost your ego, so she's just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. The second reaction, and this is the reaction that we've all been waiting for, are the girls who just lose it. And this is most often, this is like 95% of the time, they're like, oh my gosh, how fast is it? How much did you pay for it? They just absolutely lose it. And that is the best feeling in the world. Not because of the money, but it shows you that you are different from other men. Because when she hops in, you know, Billy Bob's Honda, she's not saying that shit. She's just not. But when she hops in me, in my whip, she's like, damn, this is awesome. So it gives you that sense of confidence of like, you're different from these people. But yeah, it's fucking fun, man.
So you're different from these people. So you're using your lime green Lamborghini to get validation from stupid Miami girls to prove to yourself that you're different from all the other guys.
Yeah. The guy in the lime green Lamborghini likes positive reinforcement and attention. That's a redundant sentence. You bought a lime green Lamborghini, brother.
And then the way he describes it too, it's like, this makes me different from all the other guys. So it's like, why don't you just work on yourself and become important and actually different from all the other guys instead of just like jumping to that final step and just having the car that goes, not like everyone else.
Materialism different. Yeah. It's just purely materialism. And then like if you go and then somebody pulls up to the light next to you and he's in a Lamborghini Urus too.
Yeah. Urus.
Urus? Because it's 4-seater, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. But a guy pulls up next to you and he's in the same car. And it's like, we're the same. And he's like black and 6'5" and he's African. It's like, we're the exact same. No, you're not.
And then also,
it's weird external validation source. He's like, how the girl reacts to my Lamborghini changes the day.
Yeah, that's the main takeaway.
At all, right?
And it shouldn't at all. And then it's also like, if you're using your lime green Lamborghini to impress girls on a date and then they're being impressed, you're not really looking for a long-term partner. You're kind of looking for like a sex body.
Yeah.
And it probably works. And you go on all these dates and you hang out with these girls in Miami and then they sleep with you because you have the lime green Lamborghini. Yeah, but long-term, you're kind of fishing for a trophy fish in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
You're not really ever going to find it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to
the ones who give you the reaction that you like are like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like a disqualifying
You're with me
thing.
for the Lamborghini, and then I have the Lamborghini, and then the circle continues.
And it's like a disqualifying thing. Like, how nice of a girl could you be if you care a lot about the Lamborghini? You'd almost want to like meet for a coffee date and just walk there somewhere near your house so they don't even see the Lamborghini. Then you find out you like them, and then you go, oh, I have a Lamborghini. And they go, what? That's sick.
Yeah.
But if you start with the Lamborghini, you're almost removing yourself from the equation to find a nice person.
Really unself-aware content. I don't like when girls aren't impressed with my Lamborghini. I love when they love my Lamborghini. And then you record yourself saying that, then you post it online.
That's good to go.
Great.
Post.
Yeah.
All
Good
right,
self-awareness.
Let's move on to some trans stuff.
All right. Yeah, that was a little different.
Just a random clip, and I wanted to post it. All right, we got a trans boy at Smith College who's really upset with people.
What's Smith College? Where's that?
Down, fascist, fucking. I don't give a fuck who you are. The fact that you feel this way makes you completely fucking intolerant of anybody. I don't care if you have a fucking master's degree. I don't care if you feel like you're tall and proud. Go fuck yourselves. This is absolutely fucking disgusting. I can't believe you. And you can take your fucking Blue Lives Matter flag with you. You're welcome.
Yeah, average Democrat guy. And there was one point where he grabbed his nuts a little bit and was like, fuck you, and kind of did like an adjustment, just like any other guy, classic guy move.
Yeah, that's just broing it up. And there's a little unarticulate moment there. You don't even like.
Yeah,
you're like trying to give it to somebody, and you really have nothing to say other than "fuck you."
Yeah, double middle fingers. And this happened at Smith College, which is a real lesbo joint. There's a bunch of colleges in that group where it's like Smith, Wellesley, Mount Holyoke, real hairy legs, learn how to hate men establishments.
Okay. And then the other thing, there's this weird conflation of you're intolerant. If you don't agree with exactly my politics, you're intolerant. Like, does anybody, politically speaking, expect to be completely unopposed and able to steamroll somebody? Do you expect the whole world to be on exactly your page and not go, not anybody thinks different?
That's a good point.
Intolerance as opposed to disagreement. They label everything intolerance, and then you're a little manlet on the street, little boy, throwing a little temper tantrum. Who does it? What men haven't had a temper tantrum on the street after seeing a flag? Right?
Yeah. Which one of us 5'4", 122-pound guys?
Elliot Page and such got the sleeve, working on the tattoo sleeve.
And then exactly like you said, like if we are the intolerant and irrational and unwell ones, shouldn't we be the ones flipping out, giving everyone double middle fingers?
That's what I'm saying.
All we're saying is, nah, little boy.
Yeah. If I was intolerant, I'd get in your face. You think you're a boy? You think you're a little boy? Yeah. Come arm wrestle, little boy. I'd be doing a lot of crazy shit. And I don't. I just kind of chuckle with my friends when I see you at the coffee shop.
We just make fun of you and laugh. Yeah. And we go snart.
Yeah.
Because snart is trans backwards. We go snart.
Yep.
And then also keep in mind, too, in different dimensions and frequencies, that girl has, like, demons attached to her.
Wait, what? Keep that in mind, did you say?
So keep in mind, in other dimensions and other frequencies and other realities that exist simultaneously to the ones we live in, there's demons that follow that girl around, and then your gut has like a natural instinct gut feeling when you see it that kind of makes you uncomfortable, which is the same reason you're able to identify pedophiles.
I like how you blend sci-fi and like religious. Like there's demons, but then there's also multiple planes of reality.
Yeah.
That's a good mix.
So you can't see them with your eyes, but subconsciously you can see the demons, and that's why you get a weird gut feeling, and that's why when you see a pedophile or a certain guy who doesn't look right, it's because your subconscious sees the demons.
Okay.
Which takes us to our next clip and kind of parlays nicely.
Yeah.
This is a trans Muslim disabled Shrek.
I stand before you all as a proud Kashmiri trans Muslim woman. I'm disabled, and this state hates that. This state has burned trans and disabled people to create a smokescreen to cover the further bodies that they are burning around the world. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, Cardiff. Today, I stand and I march for the liberation of my people in the trans community, my people in the disabled community, my people in the Kashmiri community, to my beloved Palestinian people, to all of these people and the intersections that they represent, who meet me where I stand at the crossroads of so many places of suffering.
It's a good thing we don't do doppels anymore.
That looks like one of us.
So this guy pretends that the people that he's standing up for, the trans, gays, immigrants, and the Muslims, are all not doing great.
Yeah.
And when you look around, trans people right now are teaching kids how to be trans in schools by the age of 5. The gays are about to have a month-long suck and fuck fest in the streets next month in public, where they're basically grooming and it's encouraged.
Wait until you see what they do in San Francisco. Piggy parties, pool, shit,
they're
over the pants stuff.
Yeah, under the pants stuff, no pants stuff. They're about to go crazy.
Yeah.
The illegal immigrants are in 5-star hotels getting cash gift cards.
Generational run.
Yeah.
Generational run that they've never seen before, right?
The Muslims have been flooding Western countries and we paid for it. And so like, what are the injustices exactly? And then the Palestinians in Gaza, you know, yeah.
They're under the, they got it.
They might need some help, but they don't need help from you. And if you showed this clip to a person in Gaza and was like, this man is standing up for you and he's spreading your message and your story, they'd go, it's okay.
You got anyone else?
It's no need.
Another thing I want to point out, just because we've been kind of on this theme, the disabled. And this guy says he's disabled and he's wearing like 3-inch heels with a walking cane. Doesn't really seem right. If you were disabled, I don't know what that would be, but I certainly wouldn't put on heels. That one person we showed couldn't even brush their teeth. But I feel like they yell out that they're disabled because like they're currently getting benefits of some kind.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, in case anyone's watching, where they go, yeah, as I'm trans, queer, and disabled, like looking for anyone to hear them. You know how?
Yeah, my car was totaled, and I had to get a new one, and I used all the money from the insurance claim to buy a car for the exact value.
Yeah, you know how someone used to, if someone used to have a workers' comp claim, and then like an investigator would follow them around, and they'd be in a neck brace, like playing golf, or like on jet skis in a neck brace. It's kind of like covering your bases. Like, I am disabled. I have been cashing that $1,500 a month from the government.
That's so true.
So there's like there's a say it out loud part that they have.
Exactly. And then, like we said, there's about to be a month-long gay pride fest around the whole world. And this girl, I don't know, has some ideas for what that should look like this year.
You have to have the gayest summer ever to fight back against everything that's happening right now. You got to wear more leather. You got to wear more sequins, more glitter. You got to wear more eye sparkles. Should be poppers out of vending machines. There should be top surgery at the free clinic. Everyone's required to get 7 new tattoos every month. Shave your eyebrow. Shave a slit in it. Shave 4 slits in it. Have an identity crisis. Go to therapy. Go platinum blonde. Dye your eyebrows platinum blonde. Your alarm clock in the morning should be Abracadabra by Lady Gaga. You listen to Pink Pony Club at night to fall asleep. Place the headlights on your car.
We get it.
Not a very vibrant culture. Doing a lot of the same old tropes. And glitter.
Just to make everyone mad.
Yeah. You have glitter and poppers. We already know that. That's stale. You've been doing that for years.
And they're saying we need to fight back against everything that's going on. Like, if you guys were oppressed, you'd be like, yeah, I held my gay husband's hand on the subway and someone threw a milkshake at me.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, you guys are you're trying to take it to the next level after already taking it to the next level for the last 20 years.
You're gearing up for an obnoxious month. Nobody's coming after you, lady.
Yeah, exactly. And that takes us to our final tweet. A lot of the things we talked about lately are about the people who have mental issues and they're disabled and like mental health. And mental health is obviously important and there's a right way to go about fixing it, which is very natural. It's like going outside, stepping in grass, fixing your gut health.
Talking with your friends, your parents, people who know you.
Working out, going in the sauna and sweating.
Breaking a bad cycle.
eating better. Like, there's ways to fix your mental health. Like, keto can fix your bipolar or whatever. You know, that's the type of thing. But instead, the left has an idea of what fixes mental health. And can you give that tweet a read?
Yeah, people will see someone with mental health issues and be like, yeah, you should go talk to a fat millennial libtard woman one-on-one.
That's the answer that if people are geared and sent down. Like, that's the path they're sent down. To fix your mental health, you got to go talk to the stupidest bitch ever. Pretty crazy. All right, we're still in Cringe. It's going to be a longer Cringe. This is our adult injuries section. These are just things that you guys can avoid. Maybe you're tempted because it's the summer. Maybe you're tempted because your neighbor got a trampoline. There's things you can avoid to not turn out like this, and this is a career-ending injury segment.
Yeah, this first guy is at some sort of trampoline park, so let's play him first. Day 0, backflip, great. Oh no, double knee tore.
Double knee tore, you're eating hospital food, you're learning how to walk again.
Was doing a backflip on a trampoline worth a 9-month journey? Wheelchair, need help showering, help eating.
Your wife has to pick you up.
All right, you get the point on that, right?
We get the point on that. But, you know, and you guys might think, like, oh, I used to do backflips on the trampoline in my house when I was 16. I'm 42 now, but I still got it. Double knee tear.
Yeah, I think the main point of this section is avoid these kind of high-risk things. I think actually Mike Cernovich tweets about it a lot, how he avoids trampoline parks and never brings his kid to trampoline parks.
Smart.
And everybody has like compound fractures and like they never really tell you the stories of that. But there are a couple things where like this guy who just did the double knee explosion and lost a year of his life and then probably 20% of his leg muscle mass to do a backflip at a trampoline park? I don't think so. I don't think it's worth it, guys.
There was a fire in my apartment complex and the door was blocked and I'm on the 5th floor and I jumped off and I landed and I broke both my legs and blew myself out, but I survived. I'm lucky to be alive. You did a backflip at a trampoline park.
He went to a trampoline park for fun and did that. All right, this next one is the same vein. And it's like a 30 to 40-something-year-old guy who's going to, and a lot of these, like the trampoline park is like where you take your kids, right? Which you shouldn't, maybe even. The liability insurance on those places are crazy.
And when you sign your waiver there, you don't even realize what you're signing.
Total death.
You can't
Snap
even
your
talk
neck.
about it.
I'll fucking kill you.
We can talk about it.
I'll stab you right now. So this guy is at another one, which is like a play place, and he's clearly there with kids. And this is the warped wall, which you've probably seen on like American Ninja Warrior, where you run up the wall really quick and you grab it, right? So this middle-aged man goes, oh, I was 20, 15 years ago. I might as well try it. And here's what happens to him.
Daddy.
So the giveaway is you hear this snap.
If you didn't hear it,
the foot goes flat. There's no more this. The foot's just locked because your Achilles is snapped and rolled up to your calf.
So he popped his Achilles, and then he looks at this little girl like, did you hit me? Because he has no idea what happened. So guys, I don't know. It's not really time to be playing around on the warped wall or the trampoline park, right?
Because then you get, I think we maybe even said this in the show before, then you get double casted up and you're all injured in the summer, and then you like look out your window with binoculars and then you see your neighbor commit a murder and everyone thinks you're crazy.
Yes.
And then it's actually true.
He starts gaslighting you. The local sheriff comes over and they kind of
He's in on it. He's in on it.
But he convinces the sheriff that it's nothing and you didn't see what you saw, and there's a bag of stuff in his garage, but it wasn't the bag you thought you saw. He switched it out.
And then you get to the freezer and then there is a body and then he sees you and you can't run because you're in a cast and now you're dead too.
Yeah.
That's what happens. All right, next, this person paralyzed themselves because they try to pop a balloon.
And this one...
And now you're the 46th president of the United States. You're a vegetable.
Well, but this one, I think you can expect a balloon to pop most of the time.
Don't expect anything.
Okay.
Never expect. All right, this guy snaps his Achilles too. I'll just move the car a little bit.
Popped it.
What'd you just do?
Hear that snap?
Did you just break your leg?
Yeah, you did break your leg.
9 months.
All right, and then we're going to wrap it up with a little compilation of more trampoline fails. Jumping off the roof, you blow your legs out. You're dead. You're so dead. You're at the trampoline park. You're a little overweight and you're 40. You're dead.
Oh.
You're dead. No, you're looking pretty athletic. You could probably handle this. You're dead.
Oh.
Everything's torn. Oh, this kid's doing tricks. He can handle it.
Oh,
dead.
God. These are not small injuries, guys. These are like change your life injuries.
Dead. Dead. Everyone's dead from the trampolines.
So, and then we talk about opportunity costs here, right? Like, what's the max thing? Dude, Mike did a double backflip today. Tell everybody. Or Mike's out of commission for the next 9 months. And we were talking
You should have seen Mike. He jumped on this balloon.
Yeah.
And then it popped.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's time to be managing your risk. Acknowledge when you're getting older. I'm too old to go to a trampoline park now. Maybe a couple years ago I could have. I'm done.
I'm too old to eat pizza.
Yeah. I wake up with problems the next day.
Like a trampoline park.
And then so me and Fleckus were talking about this too. Not only this is the more extreme end, the warped wall, the trampoline park, but even working out. You do crazier lifts. You do some stuff, really heavy benching, tear your pec, do something. And if you
tear your pec and then it rolls up and you have like this bruise that's the biggest bruise you've ever seen.
So we were talking about it and we said that sometimes like if you go to the gym and then you really injure yourself, it's kind of a crazy reverse. Like trampoline park's more for fun. You go to the gym and then you injure yourself working out. Instead, you go to the gym with the intent goal of improving myself. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to build muscle mass. I'm going to get tighter.
And I'm going to go even though I don't feel like going today.
And then you sideline yourself for 9 months with a horrific injury and lose all your gains.
And the best thing you could have done was not go to the gym.
Which is so counterintuitive. You could have not gone to the gym and that would have been the best thing for you. So I don't know. This is cringe just because people think they can do it. But I don't know. You need to be knowing thyself and not going crazy and constantly, don't do the power lift, hang clean plus deadlift circuit just because that's what I've done my whole life. Start being smart out here. No trampoline parks.
No trampoline parks.
Unless you want to pay an orthopedic surgeon $5,500 that you weren't planning on paying, right?
Yeah.
The cost, the injury, the recovery, the lost muscle mass and stuff.
To do a backflip like that first guy, and then you have to pay probably $100,000 in medical bills, and to learn how to walk again, and you already knew how to walk.
It's like the worst punishment you could ever imagine.
It's like a curse.
I don't know why this isn't cringe, but I just wanted to talk about it. I'm seeing too many adults waste their lives on like these low yield things that aren't even cool. Like, oh, did you see Dad? He made it up the warped wall, and then like one of your sons wasn't even looking,
and everyone else does it too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Dad did it, and then that other guy did it, and then that kid did it, and then the girl did it.
And your Achilles is gone.
You blew out your Achilles and you couldn't do it.
You have physical therapy Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I don't know.
That's where it gets dark. All right, don't get too down or too depressed. It's going to get a little worse. We're moving on to Urban Decay. All right, our first story from Urban Decay, New Orleans prison escape. 11 prisoners got out. Some were caught already, but here's the initial story.
Of approximately 11 individuals that had breached or escaped our custody. So those individuals right now I will name. So 1 through 11, Antoine Massey. All of these are adult males, if you will. Linton Van Buren, Jermaine Donald, Leo Tate, Kendall Miles, Derek Groves, Corey Boyd, Gary Price.
All right, you get the point.
Van Buren.
Linton Van Buren.
Oh, founding father.
And here's the pictures of all of them, and they're a certain type of guy.
Yeah, and then they got out. They got out the toilet.
Yeah.
The toilet just had an exit, and they moved the toilet, bent the bars, and got out. And then they wrote a note, and it said "too easy" with the grammatical error.
Misspelled. Suck my dick, it says. Fuck OP50. And this is actually the same. This is the plot of Prison Break.
Yeah.
They removed the toilet. So
very sophisticated.
Who do you think the mastermind is?
Leo Tate, maybe?
Linton Van Buren.
Mr. Van Buren.
He's got the presidential name.
And it's like, it wasn't a sophisticated thing like, oh, the guard, they switch at 12 o'clock at night, and then between 12 and 12:02, there's no guard until the new guard comes on duty. That'll be when we go and we kill the lights. We go out the toilet.
Yeah. It's kind of a strong arm scenario.
And it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
We're not going to play this clip, but we're going to show the lady. This is one of the ladies in charge with the stupid glasses.
She came out. There's 11 deadly, desperate, violent criminals out, and she puts on her stupid pink, green glasses. So that shows you who's what.
And they caught one of them, or they caught like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, they've already caught several, but 11 is a lot to track down.
And in New Orleans, too, we are looking for a black criminal with guns. It's probably a lot of them.
You don't say. And the one thing I wanted to point out is it seems like there's a lot of just women involved in this. We've covered her on the show before, Ann Kirkpatrick, the
old lady.
The old lady grandma should be knitting her grandson a sweater. She's the chief of police. She was also the chief of police in Oakland. She oversaw like the terrorist attack where the pylons weren't up. The woman in charge, this was the Orleans Parish Center for Justice where they escaped from. The sheriff who's in charge of that is this woman, Susan Hudson. So everywhere you look, and then obviously the green glasses lady, everywhere you look, there's just like a woman in charge. And then we're dealing with like these degenerate, thugged out black guys, and it all rolls up to the feet of these ladies.
Something ain't right.
How are you in law enforcement? So
it's very frustrating, and it's sad because New Orleans was so safe before these criminals got out.
And that's the problem. It's like you're electing women. A lot of these are elected. I guess the police chief isn't, but sheriff is elected.
And you know those women, they're for like police reform, and we need to stop police brutality and like criminal justice reform. And it's like, why don't you just arrest the criminals and keep them in jail?
Yep.
It's not even hard.
Yep.
All right, speaking of criminals or future criminals, we have some, on a ring cam, caught these kids attacking plants.
Here they are. One of them starts it. Then they all join in. These kids look like, what, 12, 10? Pretty young.
Yep, kicking the dirt in front of the mom.
Smashing the mulch.
Yeah. Real, and the mom's tearing it up, too. That's the mom.
I don't think that's the mom.
I think that's just another kid?
Yeah, that's a kid. That's a Fat Albert type kid.
Okay. Yeah. And the other kid comes and sees it, they're just punching the dirt, tearing it all up.
A lot of rage in these kids.
Yeah, a lot of rage in these kids. And this is what South Africa is going to look like when it's time to farm and all the white people are gone.
Yeah.
And we actually found some replies to this post on Reddit that are full retarded.
Yeah, this is the backwards and upside down thing. Like these people put a lot of effort into their garden and, you know, it's expensive too. It's like this, you put care, you put time, you put money into a garden and these plants bloom and the bushes bloom and it's supposed to be nice and it makes the area nicer, right? And so they're obviously disheartened by kids coming up and randomly doing violence against plants, which I didn't even think you could. And so here are a couple of the comments from the leftist retards on Reddit. Sounds like someone wants to learn to garden. I'd invite them and show them different ways to interact with the plants. Destruction is often the first phase of discovering something for children. They take it apart and see what happens next. Ball's in your court. It's a teachable moment.
My house smells like cat piss. Yeah. So it's a teachable moment. That was one of the most egregious comments.
Let me read this other
and there's
one
another
first.
one.
And
Yeah, this is the one.
And we'll sum it up. Here's someone who's, again, making excuses for mindless vandalism from children. You know, it's not the worst thing on earth. Like, you're just obviously disheartened. This person says, did the kids think your plantings were weeds and so they weren't really doing real damage? Were they playing? Were the weeds a pretend foe they had to attack? Because these look like elementary school-aged kids, not teens. Calling the police over a minor incident of vandalism was not the best way to handle this. Are you in Old Town East, another neighborhood where you are a non-black family moving into and driving up the housing prices in what had once been a predominantly black, low-income community? You are not going to do yourself any favors by calling the police. And then the last paragraph says, gotta make friends with the neighborhood kids. I think that's the solution. And their parents. So when kids act up, you can let mom and dad know. Parents are not going to have a good attitude towards you if you're out on Facebook talking about how you filed a police report.
Yeah, so you can't have a garden without being friends with your stupidest, most violent neighbors, and you need to be their parent as well. You need to be friends with them, shake hands, just so you can keep your basil and rosemary plants.
Yeah, if you want a garden, first you're going to have to go out and kiss some babies and shake hands and meet every miscreant youth in the community. like you're running for mayor,
Yeah.
just to have a small patch of garden that doesn't get vandalized, right?
And then that'll make them not vandalize, and they'll become good kids after that.
Yeah. You ever see one of those movies where the white teacher goes to the inner city? That's what you have to do.
And they're all math geniuses, but didn't realize it because no one ever gave an opportunity.
No one believed in them. So you have to believe in them. And then after 6 weeks of nurturing trust and gaining the approval of the town, then you can plant the garden, right? It's like they give you, these leftists on Reddit give you a homework assignment instead of saying people shouldn't fucking touch your property, right?
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
a good
crazy.
point. And then we get into this next piece, which is some stats about Chicago kids not going to school. And maybe that's your fault too.
Yeah, this article was just written last week, and it said a quarter of Chicago high schoolers missed more than a month of school last year.
That's a lot.
The number of students skipping at least 35 days has nearly doubled since 2019, WBEZ and Chalkbeat found. CPS made it easier to make up the work, easing the way to graduation. And so this was a post-COVID-19 shutdown thing. They're missing more school days. You can see on the chart here, it just kind of widened pretty sharply in 2020. All of a sudden, school wasn't that serious. And here's the key piece here. And yet, Chicago Public Schools graduation rate has continued to inch up from 81% in 2019 to 85% in 2024. Part of the reason school district officials are giving students more chances to make up work and pass their classes even after weeks of absences.
When I was in high school, I think I missed school 1 day, 2 days, maybe a year. And then there was 1 year where I never missed school at all. I went to school every single day.
Yeah.
1 day. And that's like I was actually sick.
I'd fake sick every once in a while.
Yeah?
Yeah, every once in a while, once a quarter, you fake sick, stay home, watch Unsolved Mysteries.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd fake sick.
Yeah, and Price is Right.
I'd fake sick, and then I'd be like, oh, I have a sore throat. And then sometimes my parents would like make me go get a strep test, and I was faking. And then like that cost them money. So
that's kind of sick.
I should have just said like, no, we don't need a strep test. Let's not worry about that.
I think it's getting a little bit better.
Then they got me. So that I should
And
apologize.
then you're like,
I should apologize to them. Sorry.
And then you're like gaslighting them, like, oh, let's get a strep test. And you're like, I'll get in the car.
But then I knew.
It's like George Costanza.
I know.
You're Costanza.
But then I knew that like that was just a quick drive over, and then I'd be back at home doing nothing, not at school. So that was sick.
Yeah, you're a sicko.
But I also had great grades, and I wasn't missing 35 days of school, and I wasn't literate, couldn't do math.
And you weren't beating up plants.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next story. This is a little bit of an interaction on a bus where this woman's refusing to pay, and then everyone's siding with her and mad at the bus driver.
Bus. Don't talk to your phone. Suck my dick, nigga. Right. Suck my dick, nigga. Bitch ass nigga. Bitch ass nigga, drive this bus. Drive the bus. That's what your job is, to drive the bus. Fuck you talking about? I came here to ask him for help, and he just disrespected the shit out of me. Talking about buy your bus ticket. I've been on the bus for 30 seconds, and I don't even know where the fuck I'm going.
Drive the fucking bus, man. Drive the bus.
Anybody going for that? Rude as hell.
I know you ain't call the police. Drive the bus.
This nigga dumb as hell, bro. No, he won't drive. Or because I wouldn't buy a bus ticket 30 seconds within I got on the bus. The fuck? I don't even know if I'm going on the right direction.
Yeah, and then people in the back start screaming, just drive the bus, just drive the bus. So siding with her instead of siding with the bus driver who has rules.
She obviously didn't pay. And she goes, the bus driver expected me to buy a bus ticket the first 30 seconds. It's like, yeah, that's the first thing you do on the bus, and everybody knows that.
Yeah, and then eventually she says, you ain't get commission, it's just $1.
And there's almost a mutiny. And then instead of being mad at the girl, they get mad at the bus driver.
Yeah.
I'd throw that girl off that bus so quick. I'd say, pay the $1 or get the fuck off.
And let's play the last 30 seconds of it, and you'll see how it ends a little bit less, and let that play.
I don't even know what the fuck you are, you bitch ass nigga. I'm so sorry. You bitch ass nigga. Been on the bus for 30 seconds, and you rushing for a white man payment. You don't get no commission off my ride, bitch. You don't get no commission off my ride, bitch. And you get paid regardless, bitch. And you get paid when you don't live in a project. See, this nigga's racist. This nigga's racist.
You don't live in a project?
This shit. This nigga is a racist. You don't live in a project, you bitch ass nigga.
And eventually she says, you're racist. You're racist. And so she became the victim because she didn't want to pay for the bus ride, and that guy actually had standards and said, no, we're not doing this.
Crazy.
It's pretty crazy. All right, let's get to our next story. Do you want to do the clerk rob, or should we go right to the airport thief?
Whatever you want.
Let's go right to the airport thief. This woman is at the airport. She's about to take a flight. It is right there.
When the drinks in the airport is too expensive. Steal a bottle of Grey Goose. Filming it.
Now you really playful with us, huh? What's wrong? Let you see the bottle.
Belvedere.
Yeah. So you recorded yourself doing a felony?
Maybe, quite possibly. In an airport, I would say things are elevated.
So you recorded yourself doing it, you posted it online, and now you're probably never going to be able to fly this airline again. And the bottle was $40 of Belvedere.
Crazy.
And and then they laugh about it on their Spirit Airlines middle seat to Miami.
Yeah, offended, but these are the types who are offended by a lot. Like if you called them something, they would call you racist. They're offended, but they're not ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
Offended by everything, ashamed by nothing. And that giggling, laughing, like as you're committing a crime, and then it shows you how much of a cultural problem it is too. Like you're filming it to send to people who show you how you're stealing, and it's like nobody checks anybody. Nobody's like, Jesus, are you fucking mental? You're at the airport. You know how many cops are at the airport and how they just have cameras everywhere and follow you to the terminal? They'll arrest you before you board your flight and take you to a little side room.
Yeah.
Nobody like checks anybody. And that's how you get this kind of shitty culture, right?
Yep, and it gets worse. There was a bad tornado in St. Louis over the weekend, and people were looting it.
You can see the wind-torn business. And look at how many kids are there.
It's a free-for-all.
Oh, yeah.
They're reacting to food stimuli and shit.
And look at how many kids are there. And look at how few white people are there. Zero.
Yeah, zero.
Mm-hmm. So St. Louis, when you live in like a brick projects or something, you're safe from the tornado. So you go out and start looting the stuff that wasn't as hard and sturdy.
Someone else gonna loot it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's the logic. The product's all damaged anyway. I might as well keep it.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay classy, St. Louis. That's what you're up to. A disaster comes and it's immediately self-enrichment when you know people have lost it all. People have lost their whole house, their roof. They need somewhere to stay. They may have lost their business. But what do? Because you're not a part of... These people don't see themselves as a member of the community at large. They see themselves as like, I got to get mine right now.
Getting revenge for white racism.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the bus ticket. This isn't yours. This belongs to a corporation.
Yeah.
It ain't yours.
I'm due for a free ride. All right, let's get to our...
And that's how they live, from lick to lick. You know? When you're on EBT in Section 8, you don't have much spending money, so you got to hit those. You got to hit those licks when you can. Like when the Amazon van gets abandoned. You got to hit that quick.
Exactly.
When the tornado rips the roof off a business, you got to hit that quick.
And with all this stuff that's happening in Urban Decay that we show every week, people are getting black fatigue. We've covered that. We were early to that. Now everyone seems to be talking about it. Here's another lady who has some black fatigue.
What, you fucking nigger? Huh? What do you want? You want my money? Was it not enough that I bought you food this month? Huh? Is that what you want? What else you want? Why'd you go back to whatever fucking ghetto you came from, bitch?
It's funny we just laugh about it.
Yeah.
It's a little rude and it's sensitive, but it's nice to see the N-word is losing its reverence.
Yeah.
Because it was obviously like the no-no word for so long. And there will be some white people who get knocked out in the process of removing the reverence from the N-word.
There will be some bodies in the wreckage.
There will be some bodies in the wreckage. But that's, the price that it costs to pull back the pendulum. And we're also seeing it with Kanye's new Heil Hitler song, doing the same thing on the anti-Semitic front, stripping away the reverence there.
Yeah.
And kind of like standing for free speech. So there's like a thing where people are kind of getting back to 90s normal America.
Okay.
And not being scared to talk anymore, which I think is actually great. And keep in mind, the black community, the media, everyone who promoted it has been promoting the idea that there's racism everywhere and police are racist and white people are racist and colonialism and there's racism at every corner. And it was all made up for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't complain. We kind of just took it and it sucked. Now you might see some real racism because people are annoyed and pissed off and you took it too far.
There's a reaction. There's a certain reaction because for a very long time, I think the black community has done like, there's two pieces to it. There's the black behavior, which we show a lot, you know, getting on a bus, causing everybody to be late, looting after a natural disaster, that behavior. And then you pair that behavior with the accusations of racism or I've been held down or, you know, this isn't my fault. And God, that's such a losing combo. That's such like, it's not my fault, and yelling outwardly while also behaving poorly is such a bad combo that you get videos like that woman.
And it's like I'm going to cook here for a sec. It's kind of a self-fulfilling thing where if for years the media and everyone and the colleges and all the institutions tell us that white people are so racist and bad, and then that gets drilled into everyone's mind, and then there's a tornado, and then black people think, well, I'm going to go steal. White people have been racist. It's time to get mine. Or I'm not going to pay for this bus ticket. White people took enough from me and my people. And then they do something super antisocial. And then the reaction to that is like, you're an N.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, like it actually is a self-fulfilling thing where because they were convinced racism was such a huge problem, it made them act in an antisocial way. And that antisocial way is what gets them called the N.
Yeah.
All right, our last clip from Urban Decay is just some people freaking out at the mall.
Over 300.
300 people at the mall in New Jersey. Cops arrest some people. Everyone's looting. It's playing in the background. The main point of this, I saw a tweet that someone tweeted, and I thought it was very insightful. It said, chimping out probably feels euphoric.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
I can understand that.
Imagine yelling full volume inside of a small shop.
Yeah.
And like everyone's going like, whoa, we got to keep this person down. It probably does feel pretty good.
Crazy good.
I get it.
All right, well, that's the end of Urban Decay. Don't get too down or too depressed. We're moving on to Uplifting Gold, and we have some uplifting stuff today.
Okay.
First, we've been doing the prank videos where the guy goes into the store, at the auto parts store, and asks for the combobulator, and then all the people who work there don't know what it is. And as a joke, last time we said, the guy at the auto parts store should be like a regional accent, greasy, like, hey, what are you talking about?
You're pranking me? You filming this? What are you doing? Get out of here.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as a combobulator. We said that word for word, right?
And we actually found that reality.
And we're going to fast forward because this guy kind of gives him the time of day for a little bit, but then watch this guy come in once he loses his patience.
Yep.
Phone number did she call yesterday?
So now you're just trying to get around the fact that my wife's something you're trying to get it.
Maybe he talked to this guy over here. I think he talked to you, sir.
Listen to me. What did you say?
I'm shorter than him. Get the fuck out of here. If he's got a problem, come down here. Fuck you! Get the fuck out of here.
Being serious. Get out of my
Piece
building.
of shit. I'm not playing with you. Don't talk to me like that, you motherfuckers.
That's Americana.
That's exactly what it should be. And that's AutoZone has some lesbian and an Indian guy.
Yeah, and they go, oh, I'm trying to find the combobulator.
Ma'am.
Well, people are
this
online.
This guy says, fuck you, get the fuck out of here.
And
That's how it
America.
should be.
And that's America, and we need more people like that.
Yep.
And it's tough because the younger generations, there's not many that
People are scared to do that now. I don't know why.
I'm going to start doing it just to do it.
Snapping at people a little bit? Chimping out in a way?
In a white way.
Okay.
That's a white chimp out.
Yeah, I would agree.
In like an appropriate way. It's appropriate to chimp out sometimes.
Yeah, he was pushed.
All right, next clip. This is a guy at a board meeting, and something happened and he's not happy about, and he does an old school way of making it known.
Servant, you get to look at my ass again. So this is my deep, heartfelt political belief and opinion of you, John Barr, you fucking coward. So go ahead, can you read that? Take a picture for my proctologist, would you, motherfucker?
Mooning someone.
Mooning someone. That was lost in the 80s. That was Bart Simpson. That ended 1996.
Now you get arrested and you're like, well, you mooned someone at a park and now you're a child predator.
Yeah.
But mooning, I'm not saying we're bringing it back, but...
I'm not bringing it back. I have nothing to do with this.
But just showing your ass to somebody, there's something there. Okay. All right, next, this baseball catch was great.
It's got a chance. Too high.
Okay, that wasn't as great as I thought. He just hung up there.
That's why you play.
That's nice.
He hung up there. That should be illegal.
No. No, that's part of the game.
That's part of the game.
If you want a home run, hit it 410.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
All right, next. What's this kid's name again?
DJ Daniels or something.
So-
He's the little cowboy or little police officer who got honored at the State of the Union.
And he keeps getting like inducted into like Border Patrol.
Sheriff Department. Yeah.
So he becomes every cop.
He's an honorary super cop by now.
And Jasmine Crockett made fun of his hair, even though he's had like 10 brain surgeries because he has cancer.
Yeah.
And listen to what he said.
I've been through 13 brain surgeries. That's why my head looked like this. And let me say this. This one congresswoman was talking about my head. But I said she can't be talking because she look like a burnt marshmallow.
So part of being a cop is shooting the shit with the boys.
Yeah, you got to be able to give a little shit, take a little shit.
And he knows that.
Riff, yeah.
And he's got bits.
I know.
He's like 50-something years old.
Yeah. He drinks black coffee and he kind of says, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee.
Yeah.
Burnt marshmallow. Yeah, there's a certain amount of giving shit with the boys.
Exactly. All right, let's get to our next clip. I don't remember what this was, but let it play.
This guy at Publix, a grocery bagger, he looks like he's going fast.
I'm absolutely tired right now.
Says he's moving fast and slow. He looks like an Indian guy working one of those like making you a drink places where it's a lot of wasted movement.
I think the reason I picked this clip was because remember I had a theory that autistic people can replace
good service workers,
bad service workers. Yeah, exactly. They're good service workers. They can replace the urban bad ones. So that's why I put that.
That's evidence towards your case.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's that next folder?
Death row Trump guy. Man on death row in Florida used his last opportunity to share a message with the world Thursday to show his support for President Trump. President Trump, keep making America great. I'm ready to go, Glenn Rogers said in his moments before lethal execution.
Hey, we got guys from all over.
And it's like, don't tell me, because if you're on death row, you pretty much killed someone. Convicted serial killer. Yeah, great. So,
but we got all kinds of support.
Other names: the cross-country killer, the Casanova killer. Victims: 2 convictions, 3 more suspected, 70 claimed. So he killed multiple people. He was a serial killer.
He's not stupid.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, he's a killer, and that's not good. But he's not stupid, and smart people like him support Trump.
All right, you're reaching.
That was a reach. I thought that was funny though. That a death row guy is a Trump guy.
Yeah.
We got this, Mr. President. I'm about to get put down for killing everybody.
Yeah.
But continue on, sir. All right, next, the Chinese people do a drawing on the cups. Very good.
Freehand.
Crazy freehand.
Shing shao, shing shi shang shao.
Hey, crazy freehand.
That looked like a swastika for a second there. That looked like a Kanye. All right, you've seen it.
Crazy freehand.
Good freehand. Good.
All right, next, the final piece before shout-outs. We have a couple today. Greece has begun painting Orthodox Christian imagery on their fighter jets. Europe is rapidly turning to Christ.
Good for them.
I hope so.
Good for them.
Love to see it. And we have a couple shout-outs, guys. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
First, we have a happy birthday on May 18th to Ryan McKenzie.
Happy birthday, Ryan McKenzie.
Happy birthday, Ryan. He just did a half Ironman.
This is him?
That's
right
Ryan. And maybe it's not McKenzie, but it's definitely Ryan. I think it's Ryan McKenzie.
Okay.
But
Maybe
there he
Mackenzie's
is.
a girlfriend's name or something?
No.
These are good picks.
Yeah, there he is. And he's a show watcher. And he just did a half Ironman. He's kind of the man. Nice big beard. Cool guy. Ryan, happy birthday, dog.
Good job.
Happy birthday to Giovanna Bazil from your parents, Bill and Judy. Happy birthday, Giovanna. Sorry, I almost messed that up.
Giovanna, that's a girl?
That's a girl.
Girl version of Giovanni?
Yeah.
Giovanna.
It's
Happy birthday.
Italian. Happy birthday to Angela on May 21st.
Happy birthday, Angela.
Tomorrow. Angela is a really big show watcher and has been for a while. She's part of the Rat Chat. I believe her husband, or was it Gabe, who gave me the shirt?
Gabe, brother.
Her brother gave me the shirt.
They're all involved.
They're all deeply involved.
Everybody watches.
And it's very nice. And you guys are like some of the biggest supporters of the show for so long. So we're very grateful.
Happy birthday.
And then we have a special shout out to a nice little boy here, Jerry. His name's Jerry. That's Gina's Jerry watching the show. And Jerry's the name of my dog, too.
Good for him. Is that his little stand?
It's his little stand. That's where he props himself up to listen to us talk.
Good for him.
And that's the end of the show.
All right.
Motherfuckers Talks in the Books. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. There's not going to be a bonus land today. Hate to do it. And we rarely do this. Maybe once a quarter we don't do a bonus land on one of the 2 days throughout the week. Nick, the editor, is dealing with some tornadoes tonight. So we're going to lighten his load a little bit.
Nick's house might get looted.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point. Nick's probably got guns. So God bless Nick and his family. Stay safe in the tornado and everyone else involved. And we'll get you guys some other time. There'll be a bonus land on Friday. We'll get right back to it. No big deal. Thank you guys for watching. We love you. And we'll see you on Friday.
Get the fuck out of here!
Being serious. Get out of my
Take
building.
your piece of shit. I'm not playing with you. Don't talk to me like that, you mother...